विश्वनाथ बोई ना विश्वनाथ, off your video off करो. Okay, now recording has started. So all are requested to write their name, program code and enrollment number in the chat box. Okay, all are requested to write their name, enrollment number and program code in the chat box and try to maintain the formality. What is the formality? I have already told. You have to keep switch off your audio and video. Keep your audio and video in mute position throughout the class. Bharati Sahu, mute your video. Okay, your video and audio is not necessary. If required, we will ask you to unmute your audio or video. Okay, any query you can write in the chat box. Okay, I will be sharing the link to download the last class slides in the chat box. You can visit that link and download the materials from the website. What is there, what was covered in the last classes. Okay, and for the last video recordings, I will be sharing the link also. You can visit that site and download all the video recording of the classes that has been taken since initiation. Okay, so let us start. Now I think all are ready. So now I welcome Dr. Susmita Patnaik to address the meeting. Welcome, madam. Over to you.
Thank you, sir, for giving me a second chance to teach the lessons that is called as the comparative politics. So students, you all are welcome to my third session of comparative politics. This is the first session of comparative politics and my third class of your political science. So in this class, I am going to discuss about the different concept, like what do you mean by comparative politics, what are the nature, types, scopes, and evolutions and growth of comparative politics. So before that, I want to present my slides in front of you. So in comparative politics, students, is it visible? So in comparative politics, we have to go through about the meaning, nature, scope, types, growth, characteristics, and approaches. So first of all, we have to cover about the meaning of comparative politics. So generally, we know that to understand about the comparative politics, we should have a fair knowledge about what do you mean by the politics. Politics is a general terminology. Politics is a continuous, timeless, and ever-changing universal activities having its key manifestation in the making of decisions to solve and face the predicament. So politics is a continuous, timeless, and ever-changing universal act. It means that you can see the politics from the ancient time to the medieval age and to the present world. So politics is a system, or politics is a process which can be continuously or spontaneously gone through from the ancient time to the modern ages. So it is the main aim of your politics is to make the decisions out of the predicament. Predicament means the out of the problem, out of the events, or out of any type of disasters. But in separate of your politics, if you go through about the meaning of the comparative politics, so generally what will happen in comparative politics, we are having we have to understand about the three connotations. The one is called as the political activities, second one political process, and third one is called as the political power. We know that the political activity. What is the meaning of your political activity? Political activity means it is consisting of the efforts by which the condition of conflict are created and resolved for the interest of the public. Consist of the efforts by which the condition of conflict are created and resolved. It means that, take for example, there are certain type of problems are there that are relating to a particular type of nations. So first of all, they want to create the conflict and they want to give the solutions how to resolve this type of conflict, and these decisions should be towards the interest of the public. Three things are there. First of all, in the politically, we have to create the event. Politically, we have to resolve or solve that your event through the decision making process, and in politically we have to take the decision, and that decision should be in the interest of the public. The second one, this conflict can be resolved by persuasions, adjustment, compromise, diplomacy, or by means of force and coercions. We know that whenever there is a type of conflict in between the two nations, if there be two nations are there, one is called as the developing nations and second one is called as the developed nations. So what will happen? There are two type of diplomacy they have to follow. The first of all call is that the type of diplomacy that is in a very peaceful manner, and the type of diplomacy that can be is called as a very persuasion manner or very forcible manner. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by called as a peaceful manner? If the country is a developed one, the country is tried to resolve the conflict of developing nations through the method of persuasions. Persuasions means what? It may be called as the motivating the developing nations, or may be called as that the third world nations, in order to do or in order to resist the conflict. Second one, it is a type of adjustment in between one nations to the another nation. Third one, it is a type of compromise. The compromise always made by not by the, you may be called a superpower, but by the third party, or may be called as that the tiny nations, or maybe the petty nations. In the second case, what will happen? If there is a case of, you may be called as the force, or maybe called as that coercions, then what will happen? There will be the third party, or maybe called as that the underdeveloped country. They have the right to give or to maybe called the exit the demand for the sake of the first world nations. कहवाक गले कौन बुझुच पॉलिटिकल एक्टिविटी आमर कौन होची कोनोसी जिंस रे आमर गोटे प्रथमे गोटे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट टाको क्रिएट करा जाय आमे जानचे जे कोनोसी आमर वार हैला वार रे कोन होची गोटे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हैला सपोज इंडिया पाकिस्तान वार हैला सो इंडिया पाकिस्तान वार रे कोन होची आमर जो कंप्रोमाइज टा होची कंप्रोमाइज टा कोन होची फोर्स ऑफ कोएर्सन हे परिबनी काहे कि दीटा जगह नेशंस होची दे आर इन द कैपेसिटी दे आर इन द पोटेंशियलिटी बोथ आर द सेम नेशंस सो व्हाट विल हैपन वी हैव टू गो थ्रू द मेथड ऑफ व्हिच वन दैट is called as that persuasions, adjustment, compromise, etc. So if there is the case of the persuasions, adjustment, compromise, and compromise, etc., then what will happen? The conflict will be happen through a spontaneous or unanimity factor. What is the meaning of this? Take for example, if someone will be persuaded by to do or not to do certain things, then in futures what will happen? There will be the chances of the war. But in the second cases, what will happen? If there is the stages of the coercions, or maybe the stages of your persuasion, stages of coercion, or the stages of the force is there, then what will happen? The third nations, or maybe the underdevelopment nations, is not in a stage to raise or to wage a type of war in the future. Just like a case of your, what will happen? The Second World War. Second World War रे जर्मनी के एमिति मात्रा रे दुर्बल कराइतला जा फल रे आउ से वार करिया पई से एकत्रित हेई पारि नथे. So this is the case. What will happen? The political activity consisting of which one? The creation of efforts, resolving of efforts, and the condition of efforts, and the solution is that should be in the interest of the public. Jota solution asibo, that solution should be in the interest of the, you may be called as the public. So the second thing is called as what? The persuasion. The second thing is called as that the means of, may be called as the conflict. It can be resolved by two things. One is called in a very peaceful manner, and second one is called as a very aggressive manner. Or maybe the peaceful manner is in the sense of the persuasions, adjustment, compromise, etc. Who will do the persuasion, adjustment, and compromise? If the two nations are in the same capacity, in the same potential, everything is there, they are in the same level, then what will happen? They have to go on to the process of which one? That is called as persuasions, adjustment, compromise, etc. Then the second one is called as that. What is the meaning of if? But the thing is that if there is the case of the persuasions, adjustment, and compromise, the result is always not a good one, but it is called as that the spontaneous unanimity between the two nations. Okay, but if there is the case of, if there is the case of which one, if there is the case of what, the force and the coercion, then what will happen, the result is that, that is called as that the peaceful settlement, or maybe called as that the end of one civilizations against the end of the, against the other civilizations. Then the second components of the comparative politics, that is called as the political process. We know that the process, what do you mean by the process? Every conflict that has been resolved through different type of the process. Process is nothing, that is called as the techniques by which the decisions are made and the decisions are implemented and the decisions are applied. What do you mean by the decisions are taken or decisions is implemented or decisions is applied? Take for example, there is a conflict in between the two nations, and in order to resolving the conflict or in order to sort out the conflict, we have to go through different type of the techniques, and that techniques is otherwise known as called as that a process. So you may call it as that process, may be the decisions making process, the process may be called as that the game theory process, the system approach process. So different processes are there, and these processes can be initiated by our different organ of our government, and this process is done through this process is the result of the result is that the process of the result is called as the decisions, and these decisions is implemented and applied to the aggrieved party and to the in the interest of the public. Which one? Such as the decisions are, what are the different decisions are there? So take for example the decisions making process, how to take the rational decision in the interest of the public, how to take the which type of your system we have to apply, whether we have to make the structural analysis, that is called as the input and output, whether we have to go to the functional analysis. So these things are there, that is called as the process by which the decisions are taken. That is not structural and functional, these are not two your decisions, that one decision is there, that is called as structural and functional analysis. This is, there is spelling mistakes in there. Any doubts, students? Then the third element, that is called as the political power. What do you mean by the political power? Power means what? It is the power and authority. We know that these are the two students. Am I audible to you?
Yellow.
Political power. We know that power and authority. Audible ho chila nahi dekhe ठीक है? Check करें. पिल्ला मैंने chat करतो ना, chat टा कहीं तरह.
कहीं हो चुका है क्या? सॉरी बोलो लिखा है। हाँ
तब की तो चैप्टर है। So here what will happen? The power. So if I will ask you that what is the meaning of the power, then power means, you may say that if you are having the authority, then you have the power. But power and authority are the two different concepts. The person who has the power does not have the authority, and the person who has the power, that authority does not have the power. The power is not related with the authority, but sometimes what happens, the power may be the natural power, or maybe the official power, or maybe called any power is there. Take for example, a person is authorized to a particular type of your post is there. If after having the particular type of post, the person is exercising the power in the capacity of the post. But in contrary to them, then what will happen? If a person has the authority, sometimes what will happen, he does not have the power to authorize or to apply the power on other person. So power is the capacity of an individual or group to modify the conduct of other individual in the manner according to the form or wish. What is the meaning of this? Take for example, there is one person is there who may be called as the powerful person, and the second person is there that is called as the individual, and the group of individual is there. There are two things are there. So we have to exercise, the farmer want to exercise his power upon the individual or the group in order to implement the farmer wish. मोर इच्छा अछि मु मोर जो पावर टा अछि मु लोकन को कहबी, लोकन को कहि तांकर जो बिहेवियर अछि से बिहेवियर जत मु चेंज करिया को जाउछि मो निज इच्छा अनुसार ताकू कहउछन्ती तार पावर. टेक फॉर एग्जांपल इन द इलेक्शन, the one I will give one example that is called as the political power. Take for example in the elections, what will happen? The elections, in the election, what will happen? The person is doing certain type of campaigning is there, and in the campaigning we are resourced to different type of your techniques and different type of methods in order to getting the voters. So in this level, what will happen? The political leader, he want not only, he want voluntarily to authorize his power upon the voters, and he pursue the voters to give the vote in favor to the political leader. माने हमको एई प्रकार जेमति करा जिवो, जेमिति कोन होची आमे वोटर माने आमे कोन कर धीरे धीरे हमर कोन होची हमर इच्छा नथिले मध्य हमर बिहेवियर चेंज आसी, आमे कोन करछे ताकू वोट देबा आरंभ करछे. टेक फॉर एग्जांपल during the time of the Congress rule. Okay, so what will happen? The Rajiv Gandhi, he took the power due to that is called as the due to the sympathetic voter. Okay, so Rajiv Gandhi may have the power or may have the quality or may not have the quality. That is not the matter. But after the death of the Indira Gandhi, the voter, the pulling voter that was directed and geared towards the vote, towards the your vote, towards the Rajiv Gandhi, is the consequences of which one the Rajiv Gandhi hold the seats in the aftermath election, that is in the year of 1984. So what is the meaning of this? We sometimes what will happen, we have the interest, we don't have the interest, but we change our behavior to cast our vote in favor of a political party, and it depends upon the political leader how they will mobilize our wishes. That is called as that, which one? That is called as that the power. So the power कहले एटा न बुझु न के का को मारिबा के का को पिटिबा कथा. पावर मीन्स हमर कोन होची जत्ते बेले आमे अन्य लोकर बिहेवियर को आमे जत्ते बेले चेंज करूचे, that is called as that I have the power to motivate the person, I have the power to modify the person in the capacity of an authority. Okay, so in this manner, what will happen in political power, in comparative politics, we have gone through what the ruling classes, the role of the ruling classes and their role. What is the meaning of the ruling classes? Take for example, in England, we are having the monarchical form of the government, how they ruled in the system. In the United States of America, there is the direct democracy, how your Trump or maybe called it the president, they are casting or they are doing their performing their role. So these things we have to go through the political power concept. So in a very short basis, we can say that you comparative politics, that is comprising of the three things. One is political activity, political process, and other one is called the political power. So we know that the political activity means consisting of the efforts by which the condition of conflicts are created, resolved only for the interest of which one? That is for the interest of the public. आमर जेतबे कोनोसी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट तक हमें कोन करूचे क्रिएट करूचे, तापर हमें चेष्टा करूचे CHN war. ओके, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट क्रिएट हला ताकू कोन करिया कंडीशन करिया रिजल्ट करिया पे आमे डिसिजंस नेबा, टू कंट्री मिसे करी थर्ड कंट्री गोटे मेडिएटेट करिवे, तापर हमर जो डिसिजंस ता आसीबो से डिसिजन ता शुड बी इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द पब्लिक. द पब्लिक मींस द सिटीजन ऑफ चाइना and the citizen of India. Okay, similarly in every cases what will happen, there was certain conflict are created. Conflict means you know that it is a spontaneous घरे मध्ये हमर कोन हुए, सब टेक फॉर एग्जांपल नेशन कथा छाडो घरे भी कोन हुए हमर धीरे गोटे माने प्रतिदिन हमर कोन गोटे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट स्टार्ट हुए. ओके, किछि भी जिंस खाइबा मैटर हो किबा बाहर जिवा मैटर हो किबा मूवी देखिया मैटर हो, कोनोसी भी जिंस हम कोन करछे, we are creating the conflict. Then what will happen, we are choosing the alternative that will be the best for both the parties. Okay, suppose पिला माने कोचोनी स्पाइडरमैन मूवी देखिया पे आमे कोचे एडल्ट मूवी देखे, दीटा भीतर हमर कंप्रोमाइज कोन होची ना आमे एमिति गोटे चॉइस बा सॉल्यूशंस आनिबा जोडा होची कोन both parties should be benefited by this. So it means that there is the creation of political conflict, there will be the resolving of political conflict, but one thing should be noted here, that the result should be in the interest of the public, not in the interest of the other things. जोटा हमरा adjust आसीबो सेटा निश्चित भाबरे public means which one? That is called as the party. The party of the conflict. जो conflict रो जो party, suppose India China गंडोळ होला सेटा US रो कोन interest सेटा मु देखिया पड़ुनी हमर India China रे गंडोळ रे बा conflict रे हमें कोन देखा, it should be, the result should be in the interest of China and the result should be in the interest of the India. Okay, so this is called which one? That is called as political activity. Political process means what? That is called as a mechanism, that is called as techniques, that is called as an or maybe called as an which one? That is called as an institutions through which what will happen? The decisions are taken. एमिति गोटे decisions निया जे केमति decisions making process रा हमें decisions, what do you mean by decision making process? That is called as that the rational decisions, that is called as the simulations decisions making process. It means that no party will have any type of harm, both parties should be benefited by the decisions making process. And what should be the output? This should be in the interest of both one, and it should be it should be applied to both the party. If you are having any doubt is there, then write down in the chat box so that I will solve your doubt. Then you know about the power. Then come to the next slide, that is called as the meaning of comparative politics. Okay, so we have two words is jointly we are having two words. One is called as the comparative and second one is called as the politics. Ma'am, lecture is very fast. It's little bit difficult to. Okay. I will take a pause. Okay. So what will happen? The meaning of comparative politics. Don't worry, Rajashree. Okay. So again, I will repeat whole slides after the completions of my lessons. If you are having any type of doubt or any queries, then you can ask. I know that comparative politics is a very difficult topic. Okay, comparatively political theory. Okay, so whenever you have to go through about the slide, then you can easily understand about the comparative politics. So first of all, let the lessons to be complete. Then then I will repeat with the whole slide. Then if you are having any type of doubt, then you have to write down in the chat box. Okay. Then what will happen? The meaning of comparative politics. So here, the comparative politics, it is the combination of the two words. One is called as that comparative, and second one is called as that. Slide is not shown. Okay. Slide is not shown. Okay. I will see. Slide is not shown there. Someone is presenting the slide. Is it now visible? Is it now visible? Okay. No, ma'am. Josna Rani Misra. I think you are. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Sumitra and Josna Rani, I think that you are having some problem with you. Okay. I have two accounts. So you have to click the Susmita Patnaik that was in the first account. So you can easily visible my slide. Okay. So Honi ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Neeraj Das, तुमको एबे देखा गला? नीरज दास सेकंड अकाउंट को क्लिक करो मोर दीटा अकाउंट रो सेकंड अकाउंट टा क्लिक करो आराम रे देखि परिबो जोटा रे म्यूट अछि सेटा को क्लिक करो नीरज slide is visible okay am I proceed now okay then actually what will happen na the comparative politics गुटे एमिति सब्जेक्ट जोडा कि तमे बिना स्लाइड रे बुझी पारिबनी सेते लागि मो टेंशन हे गेली तमते स्लाइड दुसुनी ताले इट इज बियॉन्ड योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग टू हैव द नॉलेज अबाउट द comparative politics ओके सो किछि प्रॉब्लम ले लेखो कारण एटा गोटे डिफिकल्ट कांसेप्ट पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी त इजी किंतु comparative politics वंस तमे बुझी गलो ताले तमे आराम रे जिंसटा को हैंडल करि पारिबो. So the meaning of comparative politics. So comparative politics. So you have to categorize the total combination of comparative politics into two groups. One is called as the comparative, and second one is called as politics. So what do you mean by the comparative? Comparative means what? That is called as that the making comparisons. Okay, making comparison. What do you mean by making comparison? जेतले आमे जोड़ा के आमे कोन को जे तुलनात्मक. Okay, so what do you mean by the making comparison? Take for example, we have to make the comparison of our government with the government of the other nations. We have to make the comparison of our institutions, that is the legislature, executive, and the judiciary, with the institutions of other nations. So this is called as that a comparative study of one nations to the another nations. Okay, then what do you mean by the politics here? It means that it emphasizing not the social comparison, but it emphasizing the political. We have to choose the comparative politics because we know that the politics means what? It is a timeless, ever-changing, continuous, and spontaneous aspect. Politics means what? It is maybe called it is a never-ending process. What was the politics in the ancient? Now we are having the politics, but what will happen? In the distant politics, there is certain type of color was added, but the politics is there in your family level, group level, institutions level, in state level, national level. We are having different politics are there, but we have to add certain color if we are comparing the politics from the ancient to the modern one. Okay, so here what will happen? The comparative politics means the comparisons of politics of one nations to the another nations is otherwise is called as that the comparative politics. Okay, comparisons means what? To draw the merit and demerit between the two nations. Which nation is the good one? Which nation is the bad one? To collecting the data of the two nations, theorizing or to what will happen? The theorizing certain theory. Okay, from the data, analyzing the data, explaining the data, and apply the data. That will be otherwise known as called as the comparative politics. So in a very simple tense, what will happen? The comparative politics means what? Understanding and theorizing the political phenomena with space and time. You may ask me about, ma'am, you have written here the space and time. Ma'am, subuni kichi? Sudhir Ranjana Dasa. Tamku subuni kichi? I am not audible to you. What about the other one? अन्य मानकर सेम प्रॉब्लम की ताले सुधीर रंजन तमरो प्रॉब्लम अछि बाबा देखो कोन बे सुबुनी तुमको किछि लोक को सुबुची किछि लोक को सुबुनी जोडारे मु ये अछि सेकंड मोरो येटा क्लिक करो स्लाइड तो देखा जाउची ना yes audible someone says not audible I think you are having some problem is there okay ma'am subuni no ma'am yes ma'am भलो बार देखो ऑडिबल हेले मते कहइबो बासंती स्वाई सुबुनी ओके देखो तुम सिस्टम रे कोन प्रॉब्लम थिबो अधिकांश पिला तो ऑडिबल अछंती ओके I think that you are having some problem with your system. So go through your system, check your system, then it will be okay. Yes, audible. Tapos Kumar नहीं बासंती तमरो कौन है ला तुमको सुबिला ना सुबिला नहीं लेखो मधुसूदन दास प्रॉब्लम नहीं तो बासंती स्वाई तुम प्रॉब्लम अच्छी ना ठीक अच्छी शुभुची मैम अच्छा ठीक अच्छी so now I am proceed now so here what will happen thank you students So here what will happen? The meaning of comparative politics means it is the understanding and theorizing the political phenomena with space and time. What do you mean by the political phenomena? Political phenomena is nothing that is called as the political events. Political events we have to understand and you have to theorizing. Theorizing means what? Explaining the political phenomena. Okay, theorizing means the making a theory relating to a particular type of political phenomena with space and time. What do you mean by the space and time? Space means what? The geographically proximity, the geographically distance in between the two nations. Okay, take for example, आमे democracy उपरे comparative politics ने आमे democracy उपरे पढ़िया को जाओ. Okay, so we have to choose the democracy of our country and the democracy of United States of America and the democracy of Switzerland. By making a comparative study of three nations, then we have to make a theory that what will happen, that direct democracy can be prevail in a very small state. Indirect democracy can be prevail in which state, that is a large state where the decisions making process is a very lengthy one, and the direct democracy is also prevail in the United States of America when the president is the, you may be called as the main head of the state. Similarly, the comparative politics, it may be studied about the particular political phenomena with time. Time means what? It may be take the ancient time, the medieval time, and to the modern time. By making the comparisons from the 18th century toward the 20th century, we made the comparative. We have the comparative politics, and we have to theorizing the total aspect. आमे कोन करछे 1800 रु आरंभ करिके 20 शताब्दी पर्यंत जहा जहा हेछि से टेक फॉर एग्जांपल हमरो आमे यूएन ऊपर पढुछे. ओके, सो यूएन ऊपर पढियो होले आमे कोन होचे फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वार, सेकंड वर्ल्ड वार, यूएन केम देला, वर्तमान तार कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस, एप्लीकेशंस वर्तमान में कोन करछे प्रति 100 इयर्स भीतर आमे कोन करछे बा 50 इयर्स को नेकी आमे कोन करछे टाइम को नेकी ता डेवलपमेंट, मेरिट एंड डिमेरिट बा फेजेस तक आमे कोन करछे ताको आमे स्टडी करिया. सो तमेटा बुझिबो आ टिके परे किंतु जिंसटा को सुनिया को चेष्टा करा. मु जेतल तार एग्जांपल देबा आरंभ करी तमे पूरा बुझियो. Then the next one is called as that the conscious and systematic use of comparison to study the political unit with the purpose of identifying, analyzing, and explaining the differences and similar. The same thing is here. We have to choose the political phenomena with space and time by using which one? By using the purpose of identifying. को जिंसटा को आमे नेबा ताको चूज करिबा, ताको एनालाइज करिबा, एक्सप्लेन करिबा, तापरे आमे कोन करिया से थ्योरीटा को आमे कोन करिया ताको आको आमे थ्योरीटा को बनेबा बा थ्योरीटा को आमे कोन करिया स्टेटमेंट को आमे कोन करिया इंप्लीमेंट करिया आरंभ कर. टेक फॉर एग्जांपल वोटिंग बिहेवियर. ओके, किंबा टेक फॉर एग्जांपल द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज or maybe called as that you may be called as the political party, or you can take the political process. Okay, so political process रे कोन होची हमर इलेक्शन आछी हला ए जतो हम इलेक्शन स्टडी करियो जाउचे आमे कोन करचे तीन भाग रे डिवाइड करछो. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय इलेक्शन? तापर आमे जाउचे कोन द इलेक्शंस रिलेटेड विथ द डेवलप्ड नेशंस, अंडर डेवलप्ड नेशंस एंड सेमी डेवलप्ड नेशंस कैटेगोरिकली आमे कोन करछो डेवलप आमे कोन करछो इलेक्शन को आमे स्टडी करछो. किंबा इलेक्शंस ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ 18th century, 19th century and 20th century. So making all the phenomena in a very theorizing way, then what will happen? We have to generalize in conclusions that which type of government is suitable for which type of election. Ame ko election ta ko government pai ame appropriate. Then we have to decide or we have to make a predictions. Okay. Then the next one is called as that the nature of comparative politics. Okay, so students, I will share my slide. Don't worry. After the completions of my total your seminar, or maybe call the concept. So here, the nature of comparative politics. So what do you mean by the nature of comparative politics? The nature of comparative politics means what? To understand the political phenomena. प्रथमे हमको political event को हमको कौन करे understand करिया को दिए कौन कौन event है जी. Take for example, we don't have about any knowledge about the elections. Okay, through the comparative politics we have to go through about what do you mean by the proportional representation, what do you mean by minority representation, what do you mean by majority representation, in which country the minority representation is there, in which country is majority representation. If I will take the case of the India in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the minority representation, where there is minority representation and where there is a majority representation. Or maybe called as the what do you mean by the list system. What do you mean by the, you may be called as that, the other things is that may be HTPT principles is there. So there are different type of political phenomena is there that is related with the comparative your politics. So it helps us to understand about the political phenomena. We don't have knowledge about what do you mean by political. If I will ask the questions to a student of PhD students, then what do you mean by the political phenomena? Then he definitely says that political phenomena is nothing but casting the vote. That is not the political phenomena. Political phenomena with the study of the political behavior of an individual. Whenever I study the political behavior of an individual, that is called, otherwise is called as the political participation. আমি যদি পচারিয়া political participation অর্থ কোন, তবে ন্যাচুরালি গোটে আনসার দেব ভোটরে casting the vote, contesting the election. That is the two factor of political participation. That is not only the two factors of that is called the direct factor of political participation. The other thing is that if you are watching any event or any event that is related with the politics, that is also you are the agent of the political participation. আমি যদি টিভির মধ্যে আমি দেখিবা কংগ্রেস বিষয়ে, বিজেপি বিষয়ে কিংবা কোনসি সরকার বিষয়ে কিংবা কোনসি লিডর বিষয়ে আমি দেখিବାକୁ যাଉଛେ, then what will happen? That is also one factor of political participation. So political participation means it is the agent of the political behavior. So এই যে terminology যাক আছে, এই terminology যাক আমি কোডু বুঝুছে, সেটা আমি পড়ছে কোডু comparative politics, বা আমি যেটা জানুছে সেটা কোডু যাচ্ছে আমি comparative politics. আমি ইন্ডিয়ান কনস্টিটিউশন রে যাক আসুন, ইন্ডিয়ান কনস্টিটিউশন রে কোন হচ্ছে the study of institutions of our government. Public administration रे कोन पड़ছে, public administration जो civil service, bureaucrats एमानक विषय, किंतु जो phenomena जो रहिला এই phenomena যাক কেবল আমি কোডি দেখিবা কেবল comparative politics রে। So it gives it gives a deep knowledge about certain type of political phenomena that are related with the politics. The next one is called as that to emphasize foreign country, state and other government, that is called as comparative government. Okay, in the ancient old comparative politics practices, the emphasis was not done or what was not given to the institutions, the emphasis was given to the government. At the time of my graduation's level, there was no comparative politics is there. We have gone through about the major government. So we have to only study about the government of which one, Switzerland, UK, USA, and one thing is there that is called China. Okay, so the selected 4 countries are there. আমি যেটা পাঠ পড়লো গ্রাজুয়েশন লেভেলে কম্পারেটিভ পলিটিক্স ভিতরে এতে কনসেপ্ট আমার নথিলা, কিংবা এটা কম্পারেটিভ পলিটিক্স কুয়া নথিলা, এটা কোন কুয়া হউতলা কম্পারেটিভ গভর্নমেন্ট বলি কুয়া হউতলা। কারণ এটি কোন হউতলা সিস্টেমেটিক্যালি স্টাডি অফ দি গভর্নমেন্ট অফ দি ডিফরেন্ট কন্ট্রিজ। আমি যে ডিফরেন্ট কন্ট্রি বা যে সিলেক্টেড কন্ট্রি জায়গা থিলা, সপোজ ইউনাইটেড স্টেটস অফ আমেরিকা কিংবা সুইজরল্যান্ড কিংবা সোভিয়েত রাশিয়া কিংবা তোমার ইংল্যান্ড, এই 4টা কন্ট্রি কু নেকি আমার যে বহিটা বনা যাইতিলা তাকু কହୁଛନ୍ତି comparative government. But now the case is totally different. Okay, it is not comparative government, it is only the comparative politics. So comparative government was converted to comparative politics, because here what will happen, the study is comprising not to the government but to other political factors or maybe political phenomena that are included inside it. So it is otherwise known as the comparative politics. Then in comparative politics, the emphasis is on the voting behavior, political party, elections and power. Through the comparative politics, we know about the meaning of power. Through the comparative politics, we know about the uniparty, biparty or multi-party. Which party is the good one, which party is the bad one, and which party should be appropriate to which type of country. Through the comparative politics, we have the knowledge about the factors of the voting behavior and the characteristics of voting behavior. Voting behavior कहले कौन बुझछ ना, जेतलो तमे वोट दउछ कोन तमर जिंस उडाको तमर behavior को affect कर, that is comes under the things that be the factors that are affecting the behavior of a person, that is called as the voting behavior. So here what will happen, the 2 person is there, one who cast the vote and the other one is who is the contest the vote. Then in the comparative politics studied from Eurocentrism, now it emphasized on which one? It emphasizing upon the developing nations, the small political communities and the diverse political phenomena. বর্তমান কোন হচ্ছে Why everyone give name and everything? So here what will happen to study the Bottoman Konoji Bottoman distracting from the Eurocentrism. Now the focus of comparative politics is only on which one, that is called as the third world developing nations and may be called as the political community and the diverse political phenomena. Then the next slide that is called is the scope of comparative politics. Okay, so in scope what will happen? In scope what students don't chat now. तबे वर्तमान make your do your concentration on my slides. More मध्य divert हो जाओ attention. प्लीज स्लाइड को देखो पर डिस्कशन चैटिंग करिवो मु बारंबार कहूची ए टॉपिक टा बहुत डिफिकल्ट और इंटरेस्टिंग मध्ये थरे जदी बुझिबो ताले अन्य कांसेप्ट जाके बुझियो तमे बर्तन चैट करछो प्रॉब्लम रोज तमको. So here what will happen, one thing is that is called as that the scope of comparative politics. In scope of comparative politics, the total scope is divided into two types. The one is called as that 1 minute students. Am I visible? My slide is visible. Is my slide is visible? Okay. Okay. So here what will happen? The scope of comparative politics can be divided into two parts. One part is that is before 1950 and another part that is called as after 1950. The before 1940 that is called as the beginning in the 19th century, and after 1950 that is called as the development of the behavioral theory that was propounded by your David Easton. Okay, so total comparative politics, आमे तो comparative politics पढ़िबा, आमे भाबिया comparative politics तो पढ़िया केमि. टोटल पॉलिटिक्स टा आमे जेमती वर्तमान देखो आमे पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पढ़छ. सेठी कोन करछे आमे टोटल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को दी भाग रे विभक्त करछ. गोटे होची पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, गोटे होची इंडियन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. ओके, सिमिलरली जेतो आमे इंडियन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को आछे सेठी आमे कोन करछे गोटे होची फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट, गोटे होची पर्सनल मैनेजमेंट, एई प्रकार आमे कोन करछे डिवाइड कर दोछ. सिमिलरली जेतो आमे कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स पढ़िबा सेठी कोन होची आमे टोटल कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स को आमे कोन करे दी भाग रे विभक्त करिया. गोटे हला 1950 पूर्वरो आउ रहला 1950 पर. So what was happened in 1950 by which the comparative politics was segmented into two types. एमिति कोन हेतिला जोडा कि 1950 रे जोडा रे हमर कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स को कोन हेता दी भाग रे विभक्त कर हेतिला. It means what? That is the emergence, there is the evolutions that is called as the behavioral theory. What do you mean by the behavioral theory? The behavioral I have already told you in political theory. मु तुम political theory behavioral approaches टा पढाई छि तुम मने थिबो. So what do you mean by behavioral approaches? By behavioral theory, the behavioral theory means what? The study of the behavior of the group or the individual. Political theory behavioral approaches कौन आवश्यक थिला? In order to restrict or to resist any type of war. आमरो war को न हेबा पई आमे तो behavioral approaches टा हमर रिक्वायरमेंट थिला. किंतु एथि पॉलिटिकल बिहेवियरल स्टडी कोन पय अप्रोचेस ता अछि एथि लागि अछि जेहेतु कोन पय जेतो हमें बिहेवियर टा को स्टडी करछे जेतो हमें बिहेवियर टा को स्टडी करूचे सेठी कोन होची ना आमे तो बिहेवियर को जेतो स्टडी करछे सेतो कोन होची नेक्स्ट वार किबा नेक्स्ट कोनोसी कैलामिटीज बा नेक्स्ट कोनोसी प्रॉब्लम हमरा हो. So here what will happen? The total theory is divided into two. One is called as that the date that was before 1950 and the date that was after 1950. So here, so here what will happen? So here what will happen? Before 1950, our focus is on which one? That is called as the political organizations. The political organizations, political units, etc. is our focus. After 1950, our focus is not upon the political organizations or the political units, but is on which one? That is called as the third world countries. Third world countries means what? That is called as the European country, that is called as the developing country. So if we will study about the developing country, then in comparative politics, we are having what? That is called as the one chapter is there, political participations, political socializations, political articulations. So these things are there that are inside the your third world country. So we have to go through about this type of subject or in our syllabus. So here what will happen in after 1950, our whole focus is upon the government, political activity, process and power. And through this system, what will happen? There is the diverse political communication system. माउतरे बुझोची टोटल स्कोप को हमर कोन हैला हमर दी भाग रे विभक्त कला गोटे जिंस हला 1950 पूर्वरु आउट हला 1950 पर 1950 पूर्वरु जो कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स थिला से कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स रे हमें कोन स्टडी करथुले ना हमें केवल स्टडी करथुले द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ सम सिलेक्टेड कंट्रीज द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ the mechanism of the institutions of some selected countries. जेमिति मु तमु कहली the study of the government of Switzerland, United States of America, China, then what will happen, and UK. The four countries are there, and we have to we studied that the government of these four countries. आमे खाली देखुतिले डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी कोन, तापरे इनडायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी कोन, मोनार्किकल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट कोन, ए सब जिंस देखिया भितर आमे कोन करथिले ना टोटल तारो जो हमरो टोटल हमें जिंसटार हमें कोन करते ने डिटेल्स को हमें जानते ओनली देयर मेरिट एंड ओनली देयर डिमेरिट ओनली वी हैव टू गो थ्रू अबाउट द theoretical aspect of the comparative politics. We don't know about its practical applications or maybe called the practical implementations. 1950 ପରେ 1950 ପରେ कोन हेतिला हमर 1945 रे हमर कोन सेकंड वर्ल्ड वार there is the end of the second world war. Okay, so in order to avoid this type of the disaster war, your war in futures, okay, सेठी कोन हैला the emphasis or the focus is not upon to study the institutions, is the focus is only to study about the behavior of the group or behavior of the nations or behavior of the state or maybe the behavior of the people. हमर जते 1950 पर लोक कोन भाबिले जदी आमे केवल थियोरेटिकल लेवल रे हम जदी खाली पढी पढेबा तापर रे कोन होबो आर प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशंस हेई परिबो नाही से प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन सेबो कोन हले कोन दकार हमकु लोकंकर बिहेवियर को पढिया को पडिबो. ओके, सो बिहेवियर को पढिया को हेबा को हले कोन होबो ना देयर इज द राइजिंग ऑफ विस्टर दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द बिहेवियरल थ्योरी और बिहेवियरल अप्रोचेस. सो बिहेवियरल अप्रोच रो मेन फादर के थिले तमर डेविड ईस्टन थिले. Okay, so David Easton David Easton को revival हैला सी कोन कोले द इमर सी कोन कोले ना he diverted his attentions not to only to the selected country but he diverted his attentions to the third world country, the third world European countries. Then he take its hold not only to the organization, not only to the political organizations. Don't make present Gitanjali Barik. Don't make any type of presentation is going there. So here what will happen? So initially there was the case of the emphasis is upon only to the political organizations, political government and to the institution. But now the emphasis is not on the government and the organization but upon the non-political actors like that of the political party, voting behavior, political activities, political process, political power. What do you mean by the political power? How to get the power in the international system. How to make a superpower in hours ame kemiti superpower ame hei paribo, what is the best process during the time of the decisions made. So these things are there, we have to take its hold in the comparative politics. So initially it was not comparative politics, it was called as that the comparative government. Then the growth and development of comparative politics. This is the most important aspect of comparative politics, that is called as that the growth and development of comparative politics. We know that comparative politics that was started in the 19th century and gone through the 1950, and now we are having the modern trend of comparative politics. So comparative politics have three stages is there. One is called as that unsophisticated, sophisticated, and increasingly sophisticated. Okay, so if there is a question is come in the examinations that what is the history, evolutions, or development of comparative politics, then what will happen? We have to write down about what are the period that is comprising the unsophisticated, sophisticated, and increasingly sophisticated states, and what are the different type of the contribution of the political scientists. Okay, that they had made during the time of your sophisticated, unsophisticated, and increasingly sophisticated cases. So first of all, we are going to about which one, that is called as that the unsophisticated state. So what do you mean by the unsophisticated states? In the unsophisticated, what happened? Now, in these stages, the study is simply to the comparative methods to understand the political organizations. They simply utilize the comparative methods to understand the political organization. So in order to understand the political organizations, we have to make a comparative methods. Take for example, in India, we want to know about our organizations, the political organizations. So we are having the two houses is there. We want to compare where there is the two houses. In maybe United States of America, there is the two houses. In UK there is also two houses. So we made a comparative study of the houses of the different parts of the world. Okay, just like is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, House of Lords and House of Commons, Senates and Representatives, and we have to make the comparative study. David Easton create comparative structure. So we have to make the comparative method. We have to make a comparative study of the political organizations of the different world. So here, the main pioneer of the comparative the unsophisticated comparative politics is Aristotle, Machiavelli, De Tocqueville, Weber, and Bryce. Okay. So Aristotle, why Aristotle has taken in the in the fold of unsophisticated period? Because Aristotle made a systematic study of 150 constitutions of the different world. Okay, so he only made the systematic study of the 150 constitutions of different world. Okay, so he is coming only to the unsophisticated stages of comparative politics, because he made it only in a theoretical level and nothing have its practical applications. Then Machiavelli, then Machiavelli. Then Machiavelli, then De Tocqueville. So De Tocqueville, who have written one thing that is called as that the power in United States of America. Okay, the political power of United States of America. Max Weber, bureaucracy, Bryce. So these political philosophers, they are having their total maybe called as that the total, they have to study the total organizations, but they that does not made any type of applications of their event towards the world. So they are coming under the unsophisticated. It means that not sophisticated. Then the second stage is that is calling under, that is called as the sophisticated stages. So here the main pioneer of the sophisticated study of comparative politics are Samuel H. Beer, Hans J. Morgenthau, C. Macredus, and here what will happen? We know that in the Samuel H. Beer, Hans J. Morgenthau, and C. Macredus. C. Macredus is famous for the system of the political power. Hans J. Morgenthau, who is famous for the theory of the decisions making process and the simulations approaches. So these political philosophers, they are coming under that second phases, that is called as which one? That is called as that the sophisticated stages. So the main emphasis of the sophisticated stages is that the emphasis is not upon the political organization, but the emphasis is upon the political institutions. Okay, so here what will happen now? They gave emphasis to the political institutions, and that comes under the sophisticated stage. Then the third one that is called is that increasingly sophisticated. What do you mean by the increasingly sophisticated? Because in these stages, what happened? The attempts was made the use of interrelated set of concepts for the sake of presenting their contributions. Okay, in these stages, what will happen? The scientists, okay, they had made use of interrelated set of concepts for the sake of presenting their developed comparative politics. Name is authors are developed comparative politics. Sumitra Muduli, I will tell you. Let my slides will finish. Okay, if you are having any, actually I don't understand about the questions. So okay, so you have to. I don't know what you want to ask me. These authors are developed comparative politics, but I don't know about the meaning of what you want to ask me. Okay. So here what will happen in the increasingly sophisticated stage, the political scientists made use of interrelated set of concepts for the sake of presenting their contributions. Take for example, we are having the David Stones, G.A. Almonds, James C. Coleman, G.B. Powell, and Robert A. Dahl. Okay, so here what will happen in the concept of David Stone. Okay, he propounded, or he is the father of the system theory. Okay, G.A. Almond is the father of the structural and functional theory. So these political philosophers, they emphasizing or they implemented different type of the political your aspect or the political theory that is related with one to another. Okay, so depending upon the development of the political events, the total political events has been divided into three types. One is called as that unsophisticated, and second one is called sophisticated, and third one is called as the increasingly sophisticated. Unsophisticated emphasis is upon the political organizations, and in the sophisticated stages, the emphasis is upon the political institutions, political process, or political mechanisms, and in the third stages, that will be called as that the advancement of the sophisticated stages, that is otherwise known as that the increasingly sophisticated stage. If you are having any doubt, I will take a pause. Sumitra Muduli, you have written each authors are developed comparative politics. What do you mean by developed comparative politics? Till now I will not catch you. I am not catching you. What you have written here? Developed comparative politics. What do you mean by developed comparative politics? Sumitra Muduli. Political institutions. Okay. The emphasizing is upon the non-political actors that are related with the political institutions. Okay. Any other doubts you are having? Any other doubt? If you are having any doubt, then ask me. No doubt? So can I proceed? Student, बुझी पारो ना कि टोटल कॉम्पिटिटिव पॉलिटिक्स टा कष्ट होची. Don't write the enrollment, Susmita. Increasingly sophisticated. Okay. I will tell you, ma'am, ये समझ नहीं आती. कोड़ा बुझा पड़ने तुमको. Unsophisticated. नहीं मु कही ना तुमको कॉम्पिटिटिव पॉलिटिक्स टा कष्ट नहीं, किंतु तुमको थोड़े बुझी गले तुमको पूरा इजी लगे. आरो जिंस जतरो पढिबो फास्ट रे आरो नेचर कोन, तारो टाइप्स कोन, ग्रोथ कोन, ओके, एप्लीकेशंस कोन, ए चारिटा जिनिस जदि जानि दबो देन यू विल बी द मास्टर ऑफ कॉम्पिटिटिव पॉलिटिक्स ओके सोफिस्टिकेटेड बुझा पड़लानी अच्छा अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड बुझा पड़लानी किंबा इंक्रीजिंगली सोफिस्टिकेटेड बुझा पड़लानी I will repeat, don't worry, Niraj. I will repeat. Any other issues you are having? I will repeat, don't worry. Any other issues you are having? ଯଦି ଆଉ କିଛି ଅଛି ମୋ ପାଠ ତ ତମକୁ ଡିଫିକଲ୍ଟ ଲାଗିବା କଥା ନାହିଁ ଆଜି କେମିତି ତମକୁ ଡିଫିକଲ୍ଟ ଲାଗୁଛି ରେ ଆଉ କିଛି ଇସ୍ୟୁସ୍ ଅଛି କି ନନ୍ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ଆକ୍ଟର୍ସ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ नॉन पॉलिटिकल एक्टर्स माने तमरो जोडा सपोज वोटिंग बिहेवियर ओके किंबा पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज एजा करबो तमरो नॉन पॉलिटिकल एक्टर्स आउ किछि डाउट अछि मु तुमको स्टेजेस जाक म आउथरे पढाई दिबी किछि असुविधा नै पॉलिटिकल फेनोमेना माने पॉलिटिकल इवेंट्स जाक पॉलिटिकल इवेंट्स माने जो इवेंट्स जाक रिलेटेड टू पॉलिटिक्स अछि ताकू कोजंती पॉलिटिकल फेनोमेना जिमि तमरो इलेक्शंस इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ पॉलिटिकल फेनोमेना ओके तापरे तमरो पॉलिटिकल प्रोसेस सेटा गोटे पॉलिटिकल फेनोमेना डायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस दैट इज ए पॉलिटिकल फेनोमेना ओके ए जाको सब तमरो गोटे गोटे पॉलिटिकल फेनोमेना है कि रोज ओके सो आउ थरे तमे चाहुचो स्टेजेस ऑफ कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स पढेला पोरे मु तुमको जीबी तमरो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स जदि तुमको स्टेजेस जाको डाउट अछि ताले मात्र स्टेजेस को जाउछ ठीक अछि unsophisticated sophisticated develop increase in this highly develop very good এটা ঠিক আছে अंडर डेवलप्ड इट नॉट साउंड वेल एक्चुअली तमे जो अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड माने अंडर डेवलप्ड लेखिचो इज नॉट साउंड वेल थियोरेटिकली जोटा रिलेटेड करूचे सेटा होची अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड प्रैक्टिकली जोटा रिलेटेड होची सेटा होची सोफिस्टिकेटेड एंड इंक्रीजिंगली प्रैक्टिकल जोटा एप्लीकेशंस रो रहला सेटा होची हाईली सोफिस्टिकेटेड वेरी गुड ला जोटा कि तमरो खाली थ्योरी देखुचो जोटा किछि एप्लीकेशंस नाही जोटी तमरो किछि इंप्लीमेंटेशंस नाही से जगह जिंस उडा को तमे अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड आसला सपोज तमरो अरिस्टोटल 150 टा कंट्री को स्टडी करले 150 टा कंट्री स्टडी करके कोन कर देले ही इज नॉट टेकिंग एनी टाइप ही इज नॉट डूइंग एनी टाइप ऑफ रिसर्च ही ओनली taking the data gathering the data making he is not giving any type of hypothesis जदी hypothesis देखि generalizations करिकि जदी conclusions को आनी थाते ताले सेटा हमरो कोन को स्टेज रे आस्तन sophisticated स्टेज रे आस्तन ताकू जदी आउटिक अधिक इंप्लीमेंटेड करांदा बा अधिक साउंड कराइतंदा ताका कोन आतन इंक्रीजिंगली sophisticated इज ओके नो डाउट तमरो श्रीक्षेत्र प्रसाद सेठी ठीक अछि पाखा पाखी ओके किंतु आउटिके माने जोटा तमे लेखिचो अंडर डेवलप एटा ठीक साउंड होनी ताकू टिके टेक्निकली वे रे टिके लेखियो को पड़ ओके श्रीक्षेत्र प्रसाद गुड गोइंग आउटिके मु बुझे दोची फिर भी पिला माने तमर जदी किछि डाउट अछि म आउथरे अनसपोर्टिकेटेड स्टेजेस को आउथरे जाउची ओके सो कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स कोन होची हमर तीनटा स्टेज रे जाउची गोटे होची अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड सेकंड वन सोफिस्टिकेटेड एंड थर्ड वन होची इंक्रीजिंगली सोफिस्टिकेटेड ओके जो स्टेज टा 1950 ऑनवर्ड्स आसिला सेटा होची तमरो इंक्रीजिंगली सोफिस्टिकेटेड हला जो स्टेजेस टा तमरो 1919 पर जो स्टेजेस टा आसिला सेटा होची तमरो सोफिस्टिकेटेड स्टेजेस अब जो स्टेजेस टा 1919 पूर्व जो स्टेज टा आसिला सेटा होची अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड स्टेजेस माने टुवर्ड्स द 18th century टू आरंभ करके द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द 19th century द स्टेज कम्स अंडर द अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड स्टेजेस ओके हेले अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड स्टेजेस भितरे कोन हला ना 5-6 जन लोक आसले जोडा हला फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अरिस्टोटल आसले मैकियावेली आसले डी टोकियावेली वेबर हला ब्राइस हला ए सब जगह आसले से माने कोन करले अरिस्टोटल कोन कला ही मेड the comparisons he made a comparisons of the government of different political institutions see he has selected 150 country and he made he is not making any type of he was not making any type of comparison he only write down about what in UK which type of government was prepared in USA which type of government was prepared but he has not made any type of his practical applications से तारा applications किसी देले से खाली लिखिले जे को कंट्री अछि केतरा तार पार्टी अछि केतरा तार अछि अमुक समक किंतु से लिखिलेनी वो जिनसरा आउटिका अप्लाई करथिले जिनसरा डेवलप हे पाता टेक फॉर एग्जांपल यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका को हमें यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका रे तम डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी अछि टू पार्टी सिस्टम अछि हला सीनेट तार पावरफुल अछि हमें ए जिनसरा कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स जानले कि यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका रे को जिनसरा अधिक देले पार्टीटा आउरी पावरफुल हे परिबा तमर कंट्रीटा आउटिका पावरफुल सेही जिनसटा हमर कोन होची लेखा जाई पारी नाही એટલે competitive politics रे कोन होजी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी हैव टू theorizing the concept by gathering the data from the different world आमे प्रथमे कोन करछे कांसेप्ट को theorize करूचे डाटा को कलेक्शन करी ओके then we made an hypothesis तापर hypothesis कोन दोचे एइटा तार लेकुना अछि एइटा डेवलपमेंट करले हमर एप्लीकेशंस ता भलो हे पारे तापर हमें कोन करछे कंक्लूजन को हमें आछे that is called as that in the increasingly sophisticated state but in the unsophisticated states what was happened only the data was collected and no further improvement was made खाली डाटा कलेक्शंस करा जातला तापर आउ कोनोसी improvement करा जाउ नथिला so that was the case of the unsophisticated state and that was the period जंती तमर मेकियावेली मेकियावेली कोन करथिले ना सी कोन करथिले ना प्रिंस द मेकियावेली द फेमस your concept of Machiavelli that is called as the prince in prince तमु मु पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी पढला दिन मध्ये कहिथिली prince रे कोन होइतिला द दीटा कांसेप्ट थिला गोटे होची lion and the fox okay सी कोन कहिथिले the princess should have possesses the two quality one is the what the quality of a lion and the quality of a fox if there is the combinations of two quality the courageous quality of a lion and the cunningness quality of a fox then what will happen the person should be a perfect political actors okay but he does not says that he did not say that in which type or in which system this type of the combinations of the cunningness and the courageous persons was there se koi nathile ko country re emiti loko milchi समस्तଙ୍କର क्वालिटी रे किछिटा परिमाण रे कनिंगनेस था होची courageous टा कम महात्मा गांधी इज द blend of the quality of both the cunningness and the courage persons ओके किंतु सेटा एप्लीकेशन से देई नथिले अरिस्टोटल खाली स्टडी कर दे के आरंभ कर देले टकिया भाई से कोन गले केवल गोटे सिस्टम ऊपर गले जोडा यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका को पड़िले okay the political power of United States of America Weber से कोन कले ना ब्यूरोक्रेसी थ्योरी को खाली स्टडी कले कि ब्यूरोक्रेसी थ्योरी रो एप्लीकेशंस देखिले कोटी ब्यूरोक्रेट्स तमके देखिले यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका आरंभ होला किंतु वर्तमान ब्यूरोक्रेसी को कंट्री पाई एप्लीकेबल एवं होउची ना ए सब जिंस रो स्टडी हे पारिला नाही they made only what that they have to study about the comparative study or not the comparative theorizing study of the concept of the world रो जत्ती की कंट्री अछि से गोटे इवेंट रो कोन करले थियोराइजिंग स्टडी करले से मानकर एप्लीकेशंस देई पारिले नाही अंडरस्टूड बुझिलो एथरा that is the case of which one that is called as unsophisticated it means that emphasis is upon only theoretical concept not upon the practical concept बुझिलो एथरा सेकंड वन तमर कोन आसला sophisticated stages रे कोला a little bit of improvement was done efforts was made for the applications and the result is the fruitful one a little bit of improvement was done during the time of the beginning of the 19th century okay the beginning of the 19th century it shows about the improvement of the unsophisticated stage and it was otherwise is known as called as the sophisticated one so here what will happen the emphasis is not upon the political organizations that the political organizations means which one democracy the government etc but the emphasis is upon the political institutions means which one the political institutions means where the executives the legislatures the judiciary this type of institution they gave the emphasis upon the political institutions rather than the political organizations so what will happen under sophisticated emphasis upon theory or study of various organizations sophisticated emphasis upon the good going So in the sophisticated stages, what will happen? The eminent political philosopher of sophisticated stage are Samuel S. Beer, Hans J. Morgenthau, C. Marcredes. So they made the study upon the political institutions like that of which one? The decisions making process, the political power, the authority. Okay, so these things are happened during the time of the sophisticated stage. They said that when the decision should be taken, in which the decision should be the decision should be taken depending upon the time and the place, which type of decisions is the good one, which type of the political power is held by the different type of the political authority, which type of political institutions are the good one. So the emphasis is totally directed towards the political institutions, not to the political organizations. Okay, this is the case of which one? That is called as the sophisticated state. So here what will happen? The emphasis is given to the mechanisms, not to the what? The organizations. एटार मेन एम्फासिस कोन थिला ना तार मेकानिज्म बा ता प्रोसेस उपरे अधिक एम्फासिस कराइतिला काहे कि ना जदि तमे डिसिजंस मेकिंग ठीक करिवो बा तमरो पावर ऑफ डिसिजंस मेकिंग ठीक रहिला ताले कोन हबो तमर कंट्री ठीक भाबरे चलिबा आरंभ करिवो कि तमें जानव को लोक को केती पावर दिज्व केती पावर थे एब्सोल्यूट पावर केती पावर टिटुलर जिनसटा तुम ठीक भाव डिफाइन कर कौन हम तुम ठीक भाव ग्रोथ हो पार तुम कंट्री तुम से जिनसा कौन है तुम सफिस्टिकेटेड स्टेज रे आसी then the third one is called as that increasingly sophisticated. Okay, so increasingly sophisticated this type of practices it was developed after 1950. Okay, so the main focus of the increasingly sophisticated stages is that to resist or to resist resist the war or to resist the international conflict. Among the international conflict, we are passing through the two world wars, so we want to avoid the third world in the futures. So each stage re kon diala increasingly sophisticated stage re kon dele na the main pioneer of increasingly sophisticated stage are David Stone, G. Almond, James C. Coleman, G.B. Powell and Robert A. Dahl. So 1950 रे कौन हैला is Fred W. Riggs also coming under include ना Fred W. Riggs टा ना आसीबनी एटा Riggs टा तमरो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रे Fred W. Riggs टा आसीबो एई जिंस आसीबनी increasingly sophisticated आसीबो. So David Stone, G. Almond, James C. Coleman, G.B. Powell काइन माने तम Fred W. Riggs तो पहले नेशनल लेवल रे पढनतिला एटा ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल लेवल रे तारो बिहेवियर को स्टडी करतिला. David Stone, G. Almond, James C. Coleman, G.B. Powell and Robert A. Dahl. Main जिंस होला कोन ना David Stone कोन करले ना सिस्टम थ्योरी रे कोन करले he study about the behavior of the people through the input and output analysis. How can you understand or how can you study about the political behavior of the people and how it should be go through the input process and in the output process through the system analysis. Then G. Almond तुम structural function पढ़े दिला जोड़ा रे तमे कौन करतला ना emphasis should be given not upon the your function but upon the structure of the organization. So these things are coming under which one? That is called as that the increasingly sophisticated stage. Increasingly sophisticated. So here emphasis is on the interrelated set of concepts for presenting their contributions. So this is the case of the increasingly sophisticated. Student, if you are having any doubt, then write down in the chat box. Now I think that you are clear about the sophisticated, increasingly sophisticated and non-sophisticated stages. The more thing is that the emphasis is upon the political organizations, political institutions, and more emphasis is upon the political institution that coming under the fold of increasingly sophisticated. And what are the different characteristics of comparative politics? We have gone through the scope of comparative politics. Now we are coming under what are the characteristics of comparative politics. First of all, the comparative politics is an effort to analyze to make the empirical investigations to analyze and make the empirical investigate. It means that analytical and empirical investigations was there in the comparative politics. What do you mean by the empirical investigation? That is called as that the scientific investigations. First of all, analyze. What do you mean by the analyze? Some problem is there. पिला माने म्यूट करो वीडियो ऑडियो म्यूट करो प्रॉब्लम होची दे फीलिंग वेल ऑडियो म्यूट करो ओ भगवान ओके नाउ आई एम प्रोसीड The first characteristics of comparative politics is called as that analytical and empirical investigations. Empirical investigations means which one? That is called as the scientific investigations. Analytical means what? In a descriptive level, we have to make the investigation in a scientific way, in a very descriptive way. In the comparative politics, what do you mean by the descriptive way? By going towards the merit and demerit, by applying the merit point in the demerit stage. And what are the different type of lacuna, what are the different type of the problems that are facing the different type of the states, that was coming under where? That is coming under the comparative politics. Then the study of infrastructures. What do you mean by the study of infrastructures? Study of infrastructure is nothing, that is called as that the study, it may be called as that the study of infrastructure is nothing, that is called as that the formal structure. Okay, the formal structure such as the role of political party, the role of pressure groups, the role of interest group, that are coming under the study of the infrastructure. So here in the infrastructure we are having different type of we have to study about the formal structure that are helping during the time of the decisions making process, or that are helping the different type of the political phenomena of a society or a state that are coming in our fold. That is called the political parties, interest groups, pressure groups, lobbies. These things are there. We have to go through about these things in our comparative politics practices. Then the third one, that is called as that the emphasizing on study of the developing society. Yes, the emphasis on study of the developing society. What do you mean by the emphasis in the study of the developing society here? The study is not concerned with only to the European one. Okay, so the European one, or maybe called as the American government. So initially what will happen, our study only focus upon the European states and to the American government. But now what will happen, there is the diversion of attentions, and this attention is totally where to the poor and the backward classes country, like that of your Afro-Asian country, and maybe called as the Latin American one. So we are having after the Second World War, there is the development of different type of the underdeveloped country. The underdeveloped, what do you mean by the underdeveloped country? The country that are economically, socially poor countries are there. They need certain type of help from the developing countries. So here we know that there are three segments of countries are there: the purely developed, developing, and underdeveloped. So our emphasis now it is diverted from the European world to the third world country, and the country that are totally poor economically and also socially and politically. So comparative politics focus not to the developing country but to the underdeveloped country or developing country. India is in the developing country, in developing stages. It means that they are doing their development, or they are making their development that are coming under the developing society. Then the next one that is called as that the focus is on the interdisciplinary approach. I already told you the meaning of here, that is called as that the interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary means what is called as the one is called as the unidisciplinary, and second one is called as the interdisciplinary, and third one is called the multidisciplinary, where a discipline or a subject is related with other subject. That is called, it means that where there is a connections of the two or the more than two subject, that is called as the interdisciplinary approach. That is called as the interdisciplinary approach. The political science applied more use of tools from where? From sociology, anthropology, economics, biology, etc. to study the comparative politics. Okay, you may ask me that how biology is applied in comparative politics. No, there is no applications of biology in comparative politics. Yes, there is the applications of biology in comparative politics. If you remind, then if you remember, then what happened in the David Easton system theory? First of all, I draw a diagram that that was happened. One is called as environment. Okay, inside the environment there is the political system is there. In the political system, what will happen? The environment, the concept is coming not from other discipline that comes under where? From the biology. Similarly, what happens? There is the concept is totally related. Which one? That is called as that sociology. What do you mean here? The sociology. So what do you mean by the sociology? Sociology means what? That is the study of the behavior, the socializing behavior of an individual. When we study about the behavior of the individual in the society, of a person, or maybe the collection of person in a group, that is otherwise is called as that the political sociology. So here what will happen? The focus is upon the interdisciplinary approaches. Take for example, when we study about the in the comparative politics, we are having the new chapters are there, like that of political socializations, political mobilizations, political participations. Take for example a good example of political participation. If you did not understand about the behavior of an individual, then you cannot judge about the participate, how much the people is actively participate in the political systems. आमे जदि गोटे लोकर बिहेवियर ठीक रे स्टडी करि परिबा नाही ताले आमे कोन करिया ता से सिस्टम रे से केते दूर एक्टिव अछि बा केते दूर डिसिव अछि आमे ताको जानि परिबा नाही. So it means that political comparative politics तो generally कोन ना political science रे गोटे पार्ट, किंतु comparative politics तारा एटा होछ गोटे इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच जोटा कि तमर इकोनॉमिक्स तो पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमी जतला आमे पढुचे बा आमे जतलो पढुचे अन्य कोनोसी कॉन्सेप्ट दैट इज रिलेटेड विथ इकोनॉमिक्स जोटा कि तमरो कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स भीतर तमरो जतलो आसुची डब्ल्यूटीओ पर पढुची सेटा कोन इकोनॉमिक्स रे भी आसुची कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स रे. इट मींस दैट दे आर इंटर रिलेटेड कॉन्सेप्ट. जतला आमे कार्ल मार्क्स पढुची, कार्ल मार्क्स रो आमे जतलो ओनर क्लास एंड ओन क्लास बा तमरो लेबर क्लास एंड तमरो ओनर क्लास भीतर आमे जतलो पढुचे सेटा मध्ये कोन इकोनॉमिक कॉन्सेप्ट रे कार्ल मार्क्स जाउचे, इकोनॉमिक कॉन्सेप्ट रे तमरो comparative politics मध्ये तमर आसुची. So these things are which one? These things are coming under that are called as interdisciplinary approach. Then the last one is called as that it is a value free political systems. Comparative politics is called as that value free, and initially it was not value free, but it is called as a value fact political system. Value fact means, what do you mean by the value fact? It means that only there was the norms, there was the rules and regulations is there was no applications in the comparative political system was there. But today's what was happened, there was an applications. When we have gone through about the structural functional analysis, then what will happen? We can easily understand about in which year stages, in which conflict it can be applied. आमे देखिबा जदि आमे स्ट्रक्चरल फंक्शन थरे पढि परिबा ताले आमे कोन आमे जानि परिबा जदि फंक्शन टाको स्टडी करिके आमे स्ट्रक्चर टाको एम्फासाइज करिबा. किंतु बेले बेले कोन होचे सिचुएशन एमिति करे फास्ट आमे स्ट्रक्चर पढुचे फंक्शन को जाउ जतो डेविड ईस्टन आमे हेल्प लेबा. किंतु जेतलो आमे आलमंड एंड पॉयल को जिबा आमे कोन करे फंक्शन को सी करिया ताफरे आमे स्ट्रक्चर अरे फंक्शन टा जदि सक्सेसफुल हैला आमे सपोज आमे ओटे मैरिज फंक्शन देखुचे छोटा एग्जांपल एटा कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स रे पार्ट नै मु तो मु कहूची आमे ओटे मैरिज फंक्शन देखुचे हठात गलाडू सुनले 10टा लोग कहउचंदी कोन फंक्शन टा सक्सेसफुल हैला. ओके किबा गोटे बाहागर होईची गोटे कपल रो लाइफ टा सक्सेसफुल हेची हेले वर्तमान आमे कोन देखे जदि सक्सेसफुल हैला ता स्ट्रक्चर टा कोन देखे स्ट्रक्चर माने सेमानकर रिलेशंस टा किमिति स्टार्ट हैला. आमे देखिया स्ट्रक्चर को अरेंज मैरिज हेची किबा लव मैरिज हेची. जदि अरेंज मैरिज हेची ताले को साइड रो हेची पेरेंट साइड रो हेची ना निजो साइड रो से माने इनिशिएट जिंसोडा कोन होची कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस परे आमे कोन करछे स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट पर आमे आछे. কিন্তু বেলে বেলে কোন হচ্ছে স্টার্টিং পয়েন্ট রু কনসিকুয়েন্সেस পর্যন্ত জীবক আমি সো এটা কোন ডিপেন্ড করুছে কো সিচুয়েশন বর্তমান সিচুয়েশন না কোন আর সিচুয়েশন লেভেল রে আমি কো ইনফ্রাস্ট্রাকচার বা কো মেকানিজম টাকে আমি কোন করে अप्लाई করি আমি আরম্ভ okay so here what will happen characteristics of comparative politics is comprising of these 5 aspects. One is called as that the analytical and empirical investigations. Empirical investigation here it is called as that the scientific study of a particular political phenomena. Analytical here what will happen that is called as the descriptively or maybe called as that generalize the particular political phenomena. The next one is study of infrastructure. The study of infrastructure is otherwise is called as that which one the study of infrastructure that is the study of the formal institutions or make an inquiry into the matters that are having the political importance. Okay so the formal institutions here there are 2 types of institution was there. One is called as the formal and second one is called the informal institutions. The informal institution is not our major of concern, but the formal institution is what that is called as the study of the political party, the pressure groups, the interest group. They are taking the major role in our system or in our political system. So whenever we have to go through about the political parties and political institutions or maybe called as the pressure group, then what will happen? We have a very depth knowledge about the type of system that are inside our society. Okay so the third one is emphasizing on the study of developing society. So you may ask what do you mean by a developing society. So here what will happen in the recent comparative political trends, the study is diverted from the European and the American government and directed towards which one that is called as the poor and the backward countries like that of your Afro-Asian country and that Latin American countries. Okay so whenever we have to we studied about the concept of your dependency theory. Okay so dependency theory is also the part of a comparative politics. So when we study about the dependency theory we can easily understand about whether the underdeveloped countries are dependent or the developed countries are they dependent, which factors makes the country dependent to the developed country and which factors makes the country the super countries of the world. So these things what will happen we have to go the emphasis is done to directed our attentions to the from the superpower towards the developing society. बर्तमान हमर कोनला कांसेप्ट रे हमें को ऊपर स्टडी करछे ना पुअर और बैकवर्ड क्लासेस नेशंस जोडा हमें सब प्रकार नेशंस हमर कोन होची कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स भितरे हमरा आसुची. टेक फॉर एग्जांपल तमे कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स रो सपोज हमें पढिबा हमें गोटे कांसेप्ट सपोज हमें पढिबा voting behavior नहीं तो आमे पढ़िया मने करो एपीटीपी फास्ट पास द पोस्ट. ओके किंबा मु पढ़िली मने करो इलेक्शन सिस्टम रे मु कोन पढ़िली ना फास्ट रे मु गली प्रथमे डेवलप कंट्री रे तांकर इलेक्शंस ता की प्रकार इलेक्शन चली छी पूरा डेवलप सुपर डेवलप जो कंट्री अछि से मानकर की इलेक्शंस चली छी जो इलेक्शंस चली छी जो टाइप ऑफ इलेक्शन बा द प्रोसेस ऑफ इलेक्शन चली छी तार प्रॉब्लम कोन अछि जदि सेटा जदि हमें अंडर डेवलप कि सेमी डेवलप कंट्री रे जदि अप्लाई करबा ताले से कारण तमे जानछो सुपर पावरफुल कंट्री बट ऑलरेडी डेवलप कंट्री रे कोन इलेक्शन दा मध्ये तारो एक्सीलेंट स्टेज रे थिबो जदि से प्रकार हमें इलेक्शंस ता नेकी सो यूएस रे इलेक्शन दा जदि हमें इंडिया भीतर अप्लाई करबा ताले सक्सेसफुल हे परियोगी केबेले हे पारिबो नाही काहेकि ना डिफरेंट फैक्टर्स कोन करछि ताको इन्फ्लुएंस करछि. सपोज हम वोटिंग बिहेवियर को हमर कोन अछि पॉलिटिकल अवेयरनेस इंटेलिजेंस एक्टिवनेस पार्टिसिपेशंस सोशल बिहेवियर ए सब जिंस कोन करछि ता ऊपर डिपेंड करछि. सो व्हाट विल हैपन सो आवर एम्फेसिस और अटेंशन इज डाइवर्टेड फ्रॉम द डेवलप्ड सोसाइटी नाउ टू द underdeveloped society. Then the next one is focus on interdisciplinary approaches. Interdisciplinary approaches means what? The main emphasis is not only unidisciplinary approaches but in a multidisciplinary approach. It means that comparative politics is related with economics, biology, anthropology and sociology. when we borrowed some concept from the Talcott portions. So Talcott portion is a person who developed his theory, from which one, that is called as sociology. Okay, Max Weber, a famous sociologist. Okay, similarly Karl Marx, a famous economist. Okay, similarly we have borrowed certain discipline from the biology also, like that ecosystem theory of the David Easton. So it means that it is a concept which is interrelated from the different concept from one to another. Then the last one is called as the value free political system. It means that it means that in comparative politics, the emphasis is not theoretical but upon its applications. So it is called as a value-free political system. Any other doubt, students? I may go to my first slides, then I will proceed. More total comparative politics approach is an interdisciplinary approach. Yes, focus is এটা তোমার doubt রইলা interdisciplinary. ମୁଁ ତମ total slide ଟାରେ meaning nature এটা ତମର last unit ଅଛି comparative politics ରେ. I choose this topic because without having the knowledge about the total nature, scopes, types and characteristics of comparative politics, we can't understand the other phenomena of other topics of comparative politics. So I choose this concept from the last units. So here in the agenda, I totally compiled the meaning, nature, scope, types, growth, characteristics and approaches. The growth, characteristics and the natures that are derived from which one, that is called the scope of comparative politics. And in scope, we are having, there are different types like that of the modern types of the modern approaches and the traditional approaches of comparative politics. Okay, so you may call this that the types, you can write only the scope and delete the types, because inside the scope there was types that like that of sophisticated, unsophisticated and increasingly sophisticated. So don't write an extra point that is called as types of comparative politics. We can merge it in the scope of comparative politics. I will share the slides after that. Then you understand the meaning of the politics and the comparative politics. Politics, we know that a ordinary topic. Okay, politics create conflict, politics create solutions, and the solutions should be in favor of the which one, to the government and also to the favor of the citizens. So in comparative politics, whenever we understand the meaning of politics, we have to understand about three connotations or three components. One is the political activity, political process and political power. It means that the political activities means what, that are the political events. The process, political process means the mechanism which solves the events, and political power means the person who command to solve the political conflict. It means that, take for example, who is the person who command the political process to resolve the conflict? Generally the ruler, the political ruler. So here in the third concept, we have to go through about the political power. In the second concept, the political process, आमे कौन देखुचे mechanisms देखुचे, जो mechanism रे आम conflict टा हमरो solve हेच. Take for example, जति गोटे suppose गोटे apple अछि, apple ले को तमो कुआला विभाग करो, जिमि तमे जॉन रॉल्स theory of justice पढुचो. जॉन रॉल्स theory of justice पढुचो ना, नेम कहि परिबिनी. जॉन रॉल्स theory of justice पढला लो गोटे concept अछि, apple theory गोटे अछि. apple रे कोन अछि, गोटे माँ कौन कला, गोटे एप्पल को डिवाइड करायो को आबो. डिवाइड रे कोन आबो, तार दुईटा छुआ अछि. गोटे छुआ को कोन दरकार, से छि होछि बड़ छुआ, आउड होछि तार सान छुआ. बड़ छुआ रे कोन दरकार, तार क्वालिटी ऑफ तार कंजप्शन, तार कोन कंपैरेटिवली छोटो चाइल्ड तार अधिक थिबो हैला. एल ताको कोन दरकार, बिग सेट दरकार. छोटो छुआ कोन दरकार ना, बड़ छुआ को जेतलो सी कोन करे, तार गोटे जिद्दी थाए जे भाई की जति की मिलियो मते भी सेति की मिलिया को बाध्य हैला. ए स्टेज रे कोन करिवो, ता मां कोन करे, गोटे सिस्टम बा गोटे प्रोसेस को, जोटा तमे पॉलिटिकल प्रोसेस कहउछ, तमे एप्पल कथा लेखिबोनी, तम बुझिया पे तम कहउची, लेखि दो मैडम एप्पल कथा कहउतिले, सेटा नै मो तम बुझोची इवेंट ता कोन. सपोज सेठी कोन होची, गोटे मां कोन करे, ता एप्पल को आनी की छुआ को दिए जे दिभाग करो. दिभाग देला बेले को सी कोन करे ना, तार फास्ट राइट ता से काकू देबो, बड़ पो को देबो. कांगी से कहबो तू एमिति काटिबो हैला, तू इमिति तते तते काटिया को देली आ सेकंड राइट ता कागु देबो छोटो पिला छोटो छोटो छुआर कोन काम ना ही हैज द राइट टू चूज द फर्स्ट वन हला एले सेटी कोन हला जण को डिसीजंस मेकिंग देला आ जण को कोन हला पार्टिसिपेशन दिया एले बड़ छुआ खुशी हबो जाओ म एप्पल टा काटी देबी म एप्पल टा काटले मु कोन कर से जदी ताकू कोन से राइट सेकंड छुआ को न दिया आइतंदा से कोन करतंदा एप्पल टा इमिति काटथंदा बड़ पार्ट टा सिने आइतंदा छोटो पार्ट टा सानो पिला पड़ता कि सेटी से कोन करची ता मा जो सेकंड राइट टा देले काकू सेकंड छुआ को जे फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी तते दिया होची पूरा चूजिंग the what the portion of the apple that you want जो portion ता तते दरकार से portion ता तू नबु सेठी कोन करची बड़ छुआ डर काटिबो ओके जेतलो से he caught the apple say he has the idea in his mind that the cutting side should be equal in each side ताक जो साइज ता जो कटा जीवो से साइज ता निश्चित भाव रे इक्वली डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड हेबा निहाती आवश्यक काहेकि से जानि छी तार आफ्टर कटिंग द योर सिस्टम देन द नेक्स्ट राइट विल बी गिवन टू व्हिच यंगर ब्रदर सेठी से कोन करे फटकिना कोन करे बडा एप्पल हेति लागि से काटे डिसीजंस ता निया जाए से डिसीजंस रे से कोन करे तार कटिंग दा ठीक भाव रे साइज करी सो इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन व्हिच वन दैट इज कॉल्ड पॉलिटिकल प्रोसेस जेमिति घरे मु कोन करतलो मैगी दिए मोर दीटा छुआ मु जतलो मैगी दिए मु कोन करे मु जानि छी मु ए प्रोसेस ता दिए कटिंग ऑफ एप्पल नै जतलो कोन करे दीटा तमे जानि छ छुआ मानको मैगी बहुत पसंद जतलो दी बाउल ने कि मैगी आसे मु कोन करे मु जानि जतलो माने बड़ पर्सन ता मु देबे सानो पर्सन ता देबे बड़ काहे कि ना मु भल्ला जानि छी सानो छुआ कोन करियो बड़र मैगी की देखिबो काहे कि तार फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी होची मामा ताकू पसंद ताकू से दे दोची सेतिले से कोन करे ता मैगी टा को झिकी गिरी माने ता बड़ पुर मैगी की झिकी गिरी सी कोन करे फर्स्ट राइट ता से कोन करे एम्फसाइज कर किंतु सेठी कोन होची जस्टिफाइड होची कोन छोटो मैगी ता पाकू जाउची बड़ मैगी ता बड़ पाकू पड़े सो दिस इज डिपेंड्स अपॉन व्हाट द इंटेलेक्चुअल एंड कनिंगनेस ऑफ द डिसीजंस मेकर जे डिसीजंस नउची ता ऊपर डिपेंड करची की प्रकार डिसीजंस नबो डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द सिचुएशंस हला एले पॉलिटिकल पावर की है द रूलर दैट he makes the decisions through the process upon the political activity means which the political conflict and activities re kon hochi one thing is there what the result which both parties the winner ye भी satisfied हेतिबो से भी satisfied जिमि तुम apple process बतेली बड़ पो भी खुशी जाओ मामा काटिया को देला सानो पो भी खुशी जाओ मते बड़ पर्सन ता मिलिला so where what will happen the both party is the gainer of the political event or the political activities focus on interdisciplinary the process तो बुझिलो process ता different process कहली तुमको decisions making process system analysis structural functional analysis दिरे दा गोटे structural analysis functional analysis नाही दिरे दा गोटे then political power कोन बुझेली तुमको power और authority दिटा different concept पूरा ओडिया रे तुम बुझोची वर्तमान देखो power and authority दिटा different concept गोटे होची formal power आ गोटे होची informal power जो पावर ता अथॉरिटी सहित कंसर्न थिबो बा रिलेटेड थिबो दैट होची फॉर्मल पावर जो पावर ता अथॉरिटी सहित रिलेटेड नथिबो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज इनफॉर्मल पावर टेक फॉर एग्जांपल when a minister is in the power and he exercises the power in the capacity of his authority then that power is called as the formal power and the political power of a minister कि जेतलो हमर कोन छै गंडळ होची मिनिस्टर चारटा गुंडा पडो जा पिटी के सुल जटी कोची दैट इज कॉल्ड एज दैट द इनफॉर्मल पावर इट मींस दैट द पावर इज डन or the event was happened by hiding the public the general public that public that they have given their vote towards the ministers Collective कोन होची political powers means what which one that means that how much you are motivating the individual to casting their vote and how much you are pursuing the individual to do their work according to your wish जो लोकोडा ताको मोटिवेट करछि तार विश अनुसार जतलो चालू चंदी गोटे लोक that is called as the power माने इटा नै मार चापड़ा मारिया पावर नै गंडोळ करिया पावर that is not a power जतलो तमे गोटे लोक कोचो उठे किंबा ठिया तार इच्छा नथिले भी जतलो से ठिया होची it means that you are having the power means which type of power that is called as the power of persuasions माने you are giving that much of the conditions you are creating that much of situations by which what will happen honestly and maybe called as that voluntarily the person is going to stand आराम रे से लोक निजे निजे थलो निजर wish अनुसार ठिया हुए and that wish is the wishes of the farmer, then that is called as that the political power, and this type of power should be exercised by the ruling class. Meaning the budeli, meaning the tamu kon koili na it is a theorizing concept. For theorizing concept to study the political phenomena with space and time. Space and time means what? Space means what? The political phenomena of one country to the another country in the world, and in the time means what? I told you that the comparative politics, we can study the comparative politics from the 18th century towards the beginning of the 19th century and towards the 20th century onwards. Just like we categorize the total comparative politics into 3 stages. One is called as that unsophisticated, sophisticated, and increasingly sophisticated stages. So here it means that we have to understand and theorizing the political phenomena by collecting the data, generalizing the data, applied the data, making the hypothesis. So these things are there inside the comparative politics. And the next one that is called as that the conscious and systematic use of comparisons. It means that if you did the comparison in the beginning of the 19th century, then it does not mean that your work is over. We have to make the comparison after the 19th century towards the 20th century onwards by identify the one thing that is called as that the different political factors, like that of if we made any type of comparison of any type of political party, or maybe the types of party system is there, then in futures, then what will happen? There will be the case of comparative politics books that comprising of the political party from the ancient to the towards the 20th century onwards. And in the nature it is the comparative politics helps us to understand the typical political phenomena. Through the comparative politics, we can get an access towards the typical political phenomena. What do you mean by this and what do you mean by that? Like what is the, I told you that if I will ask what do you mean by political participation, then what will happen? You can definitely say political participation is nothing just like is casting a photo or giving the vote or casting in the election, but does not in the political participation. If you watching the TV, that also coming under the political participation. If you're distributing the pamphlets, that is also coming under the political participation. So any things that are related with the political phenomena, that are coming under the political participation. So the next one is to emphasize the foreign country, state and other government. Now initially it was the comparative government, but now it was not the comparative government. It is called as the comparative politics, because our emphasis is our directed from the government towards the institutions and to the formal political actors, like that of political parties, elections, power and political. पूर्व ये सब जिन सोड़ा नथिला, किंतु वर्तमान कौन है ला ये political actors ऊपरे हमारा बेसी परिमाण रे emphasis असला. Then the last one is called as that evolving from Eurocentrism. Eurocentrism means what? To satisfy with the religions of your country. It means that the study of only to the European world. You may be satisfied with the Hinduism, Christianity, or whatever maybe the religions you are having. So evolving from Eurocentrism, now the focus is diverted from the developing nations. Focus is diverted from the developed nations towards the developing and towards the underdeveloped nations that are from the Latin American and Afro-Asian country. And in the scope, we divided the comparative politics from 2 parts. One is the beginning of the 19th century and after the 1950 onwards, because in 1950 what was happened after the Second World War, there is the beginning of the behavioral your theory or the behavioral approaches, and its consequences is the David Easton's theory of system theory. And the more emphasis the segmentations was done, because what will happen, there is the need of the study of the behavior of the individual in order to deny or in order to restrict the future war. In the future war, what will happen, it means that जेतु हमर से दीटा वारेंट वार पळैची, थर्ड वारेंट वार न हेबा पाई आमे कोन कोले ना ग्रुप रो, इंस्टीट्यूशंस रो और इंडिविजुअल रो बिहेवियर को स्टडी करिया आरंभ कोले। सेथिले स्कोप को प्रथमे दी भाग रे विभक्त कराइची, जोडा कि बिहेवियर स्टडी हेबा पूर्वरु, बिहेवियर स्टडी हेबा परे। प्रथमे जो 19th सेंचुरी जो स्कोप थिला सेटारे कोन हतला, फोकस इज अपॉन ओनली टू द पॉलिटिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस of different units of the world. Now the focus is diverted towards the political parties, processes, powers, interest groups, etc. And also our attention is not to the developed world but to the third world context. Then we know that these are the stages. स्टेजेस ही बेटर रहिबो, तमे एटी टाइप्स करिवोनी। मु जोडा प्रथमे स्लाइड से टाइप्स लिखि दिछि, टाइप्स ता काटिबो, भूल लिखि दिछि। स्टेजेस को मु तीन भाग रे विभक्त करली, जोडा कि अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड, सोफिस्टिकेटेड, इंक्रीजिंगली सोफिस्टिकेटेड। तमको अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड जेतरो थियोरेटिकल एप्लीकेशंस ओनली वाज देयर, दैट वाज द स्टेज ऑफ अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड। सो द मेन पायोनियर ऑफ अनसोफिस्टिकेटेड was Aristotle, Machiavelli, de Tocqueville, and Weber and Bryce. And these political thinkers, they only done their total study through only their theoretical study. They did not made any type of its applications like that of Aristotle made in comparisons of the constitutions of the different 150 constitution of the different of our world. So there is only a generalizations of theory, but nothing have its practical applications was there. But after what will happen in the beginning of the 19th century, there is the practical applications of the theory, and the more emphasis was done not upon the government but upon the political institutions, because we know that through the political institutions what happened, the process of the comparative politics was done. What do you mean by the process? Through the process, what the decisions are, the royal decisions and the decisions are done. And the last one is called as increasingly sophisticated, where there is you may be when the sophisticated stages was more colored, so adhiko colored heba arambha kala, activity arambha hola, the stage is called as the David system theory, and that stage is called as that the increasingly sophisticated. And the last slide, that is characteristics of comparative politics, analytical and empirical study of infrastructure, emphasis on study of the developing society, focus on interdisciplinary approaches, value to political system. And in the next class, we are going to discuss about the approaches of comparative politics. If you are having any type of doubt, then write down in the chat box. Then I am here to satisfy your queries. Okay, thank you, class. Okay, student, if you are having any doubt, then ask me. Thank you so much, man, for this fantastic class. Okay, thank you, Josna Rani Mishra. Any doubt, students? I know that this is very difficult concept. ମୁଁ ମାନୁଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲି ମୁଁ 100% ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲି ତମେ ବୁଝିପାରିବ। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ହେଲା, ତମେ ଯୋଉ କମ୍ପାରେଟିଭ୍ ପଲିଟିକ୍ସ ପଢୁଛ ସେଇଟା ଜେନେରାଲି ତମେ ଅଣ୍ଡରଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡିଂ ପାଇଁ ତପନ ବିଶ୍ୱାଳ ଆଉ ଜେସି ଜୋହାରୀ ଆଉ ତମର ସୁଶୀଳା ରାମସ୍ୱାମୀ ବାଇ ଯଦି ଫରେନ୍ ଅଥର୍ସକୁ ଯିବ ତମେ ସି ରାଇଟ୍ ତମର ଯୋଉ ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଅଛି ରବର୍ଟ ଏଡାଲର ବହି ଅଛି ପଲିଟିକାଲ ସିଷ୍ଟମ୍ସ। କିନ୍ତୁ ମୋ ମତରେ ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା ଜେସି ଜୋହାରୀ ବହି ବୁଝିପାରିଲା ସେ ଆରାମରେ କମ୍ପାରେଟିଭ୍ ପଲିଟିକ୍ସକୁ କଭର କରିପାରିବ। ତମେ ଥରେ ଜେସି ଜୋହାରୀ ଦେଖ, नो डाउट द वर्ड दैट यूज्ड बाय द ଜେସି ଜୋହାରୀ इज सो डिफिकल्ट, କିନ୍ତୁ ମତେ ଭଲ ଲାଗେ ବହିଟା। ସେମ୍ ଜିନିଷ ତମର ଇଗ୍ନୋ କୋର୍ସରେ ଯୋଉ ମେଟେରିଆଲ ଅଛି ଜେସି ଜୋହାରୀରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେଇ ଲେଭେଲରେ ଅଛି। ଆଉ କିଛି ଯଦି ଡାଉଟ୍ ଅଛି, ମୁଁ ତ 3 ଥର ତମକୁ ରିପିଟ୍ କଲି। having some problem with me, ଆଜି ମୋର ଦେହ ଖରାପ ଥିବା ଯୋଗୁଁ ମଧ୍ୟ ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲି 3-4 ଥର ପଢ଼େଇବା ପାଇଁ। ତମର ଆଉ ଯଦି କିଛି ବି ଡାଉଟ୍ ଅଛି ତାହେଲେ ମତେ କୁହ। କିଛି डाउट नाही स्टूडेंट्स आउ क्लास सरला परे मु तुमको स्लाइड जाक शेयर कर देबी गोटे मिस्टेक ए स्लाइड रे अछि जोटी तमरो स्ट्रक्चरल एंड फंक्शनल डा अलगा अलगा लिखा आइछि সেটাকু চেষ্টা করিব দুইটা যাক গোটে করিব তুমি জানিছো স্ট্রাকচারাল এন্ড ফাংশনালটা জি আলমন্ড করতিলা সেটাকু রাইটিং মিস্টেক্স সরি স্পেলিং মিস্টেক্স ହେଇଛି টাইপিং মিস্টেক্স ହେଇଯାଇଛି তাকু গোটে করিকে রখিব ওকে থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
for your nice cooperation and nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Despite of your bad health condition, you have taken
Wow.
the classes successfully. So thank you, madam. Thank you, dear students. And just one thing I will I will like to share with you that from tomorrow onwards, the classes will be at 7 p.m. That means at evening 7 p.m. we will take classes. So instead of 10 a.m., the classes will be at 7 p.m. Is it comfortable to all of you? Please write in the chat box. Okay, I think all are comfortable with that schedule. So the schedule is changed to 7 p.m. from 15th June onwards. So you all are welcome to the meeting. So thank you all. Bye.
Nice.
Hello, sir.